They controlled the ancient world's most valuable commodity, and nobody knew where they lived. The Nabataeans were desert ghosts who became economic giants, and their secrets are only now being uncovered. Welcome to Past Chronicles. The secrets history tried to bury. Here's what nobody tells you about ancient wealth. It wasn't in Rome. It wasn't in Greece. It was in the desert. Hidden, protected, and incredibly profitable. By the 1st century BC, the Nabataeans controlled 90% of the incense trade, frankincense and myrrh, worth more than gold. But here's the catch. They were nomads. No cities, no permanent settlements, just tents in the sand. Or so everyone thought. The truth was hidden in plain sight. Behind those canyon walls, carved directly into rose-red stone, Petra wasn't just a city. It was a fortress, a bank, and the headquarters of an empire that made Rome jealous. Let me show you how they did it. The incense trade started in southern Arabia, modern-day Yemen and Oman. The resin came from trees that only grew there. The Romans needed it for religious ceremonies, the Greeks for medicine. Everyone wanted it, and only one group knew how to get it north. The Nabataeans. They didn't just transport goods. They controlled information. They knew the secret wells in the desert, the ones that didn't appear on any map. If you wanted to cross the Arabian desert alive, you needed a Nabataean guide. No exceptions. This wasn't luck. It was strategy. They spent generations mapping water sources, learning seasonal patterns, building relationships with Bedouin tribes. By the time Rome noticed them, it was too late. The Nabataeans owned the route, and they charged accordingly. A pound of frankincense cost a Roman worker's monthly salary. By the time it reached Mediterranean markets, the price had increased 500%. The Nabataeans took their cut at every stage. Storage fees, guide fees, protection fees. They invented the middleman economy. But here's where it gets interesting. The Nabataeans weren't just traders. They were masters of deception. They never revealed the source of their goods. Roman merchants would arrive at Petra with gold. They'd leave with incense. But they never saw where it came from. The Nabataeans kept the southern Arabian sources secret for centuries. Think about that. A trade secret, protected for 300 years. Modern companies can't keep secrets for 3 months. The Nabataeans did it for 3 centuries. Their methods were sophisticated. They used multiple routes, never the same path twice. They created false trails, misleading landmarks, and they controlled the narrative. Roman writers described them as primitive nomads, simple people who got lucky. Nothing could be further from the truth. Archaeological evidence from the past decade has completely rewritten their story. The Nabataeans had advanced hydraulic engineering. They collected water in the desert, stored it in underground cisterns, created artificial oases where nothing should grow. Petra wasn't just carved into rock. It was designed to disappear. From a distance, the city looked like natural rock formations. The facades blended into the canyon walls. Invading armies rode right past it. The Nabataeans watched from hidden vantage points, laughing. This is the pattern. Hidden wealth, hidden knowledge, hidden power. The same playbook used by economic controllers throughout history. But the Nabataeans added something unique. They made themselves indispensable. Rome tried to bypass them. Emperor Augustus sent an expedition to conquer southern Arabia directly. The army marched into the desert. Most never came back. Heat, thirst, and Nabataean guides, who mysteriously got lost. The expedition failed. Rome paid the fees. For 200 years, the Nabataean kingdom remained independent, surrounded by Roman provinces, but never conquered, never controlled. They paid nominal tribute when necessary, smiled and nodded. then kept trading. Their economy was diversified. Incense was the premium product, but they also traded spices from India, silk from China, gold from Africa. They were the Amazon of the ancient world, the middleman platform everyone had to use. And they protected their market share ruthlessly. Competitors who tried to copy their routes disappeared. Caravans without Nabataean permits were robbed, not by bandits, by Nabataean security forces disguised as bandits. The message was clear: play by their rules, or don't play at all. This wasn't chaos, it was a business model. The Nabataeans understood something that modern economists forget: information is power. Control the information. Control the market. They never wrote down their trade secrets. Passed knowledge orally, from father to son, generation to generation. When the kingdom finally fell, it wasn't to invasion. It was to changing trade routes. New shipping technology allowed boats to sail directly from India to Egypt. The overland route became obsolete. The Nabataeans adapted, became farmers, settled down, but the trading empire was gone. Within a century, Petra was abandoned, forgotten, lost to the desert. European explorers rediscovered it in 1812. A Swiss traveller disguised as a Bedouin. He described rose-red buildings half as old as time. The world was amazed. But they missed the point. Petra wasn't just beautiful, it was brilliant. Recent archaeological work has revealed the full sophistication of Nabataean engineering. They had dams, reservoirs, a water management system that supported 30,000 people in the desert. Without a single river, this required mathematics, planning, long-term thinking, the same skills that built their trading empire. They also had a unique political system. No king with absolute power, a council of merchant families, decisions made by consensus. Everyone had a stake in the success of the trade network. Everyone benefited from stability. It was the original stakeholder capitalism. Roman sources called them deceitful, untrustworthy. These were the complaints of people who couldn't control them. The Nabataeans were simply better at the game. They played for the long term, built relationships, created value, and they kept their secrets. Even today, we're still discovering Nabataean sites. LiDAR technology has found hidden settlements in the Saudi desert, underground chambers, storage facilities, the infrastructure of a trade network that moved billions of dollars worth of goods, all without leaving a written record. This is the ultimate hidden empire, one that controlled the ancient economy, influenced Roman policy, shaped religious practices across the Mediterranean, and then vanished. But the pattern remains. Every economy has its hidden controllers. The people who own the infrastructure, control the information, set the prices. They don't appear in history books. They don't seek publicity. They just accumulate power. The Nabataeans were the first to perfect this model. They proved that you don't need a large army to control an empire. You don't need vast territories. You need three things: exclusive knowledge, strategic position, and the discipline to keep secrets. Rome had legions. The Nabataeans had information. For 2 centuries, information won. So what should you take from this? First, understand that economic power doesn't always look like power. The Nabataeans seemed like simple nomads. They were actually sophisticated traders. Never judge by appearances. Second, recognize that control of infrastructure is control of wealth. The Nabataeans didn't grow incense. They didn't consume it. They just controlled the path between producer and buyer. The middleman position is incredibly profitable. Third, appreciate that secrets have value. The Nabataeans kept their root knowledge private for centuries. This wasn't paranoia. It was business strategy. Information is only valuable if it's exclusive. The desert empire is gone. But the lessons remain. Right now, somewhere in the world, there's a modern Nabataean, controlling a trade route, keeping secrets, building wealth in the shadows. The methods haven't changed, only the technology. If this revealed something you didn't know, subscribe. Because next week, we're uncovering another hidden empire, one that history tried even harder to bury. The secrets are still out there. You just need to know where to look. This is Past Chronicles, where history's hidden truths finally come to light.